Welcome to the Premier League predictions. Mikey, boring people say you should never look at the league table after one game. Well, after my performance last week, we're going to damn well look at the league table. 13. If you're new to the show, this never happens. What would you call it? A landslide victory for me last week, Mikey. 13-3. And I can't believe this. What did you say to me before we started recording? A blind squirrel tells the time right twice a day or something. 3 times a day, apparently, because I got Arsenal 2, Wolves 0, and Forest 1, Bournemouth 1, and West Ham 1, Villa 2. So I am exceptionally smug today, but I know that's a slippery slope to go down by. Do you have anything to say about the complete obliteration you were handed last week, Mikey? Welcome.
Thank you, Ben. You never got near a total like that last season, and neither did I either. I think that's probably a record points total for this channel on Premier League predictions. And all it took was for your championship team to become a Premier League team, Ben, and suddenly you're an expert on the entire league. It's really impressive stuff. But yeah, it was a really bad week for me. I kind of a couple of really bad predictions. Ipswich to beat Liverpool. I mean, I was always going to do that. I was going to go with my heart, but also the Bournemouth just going to Forest and winning 3-2 for the third time in a row was a bit of a silly one. But I'm going to be really sensible this week and hopefully get back into winning ways.
Well, that's probably a good tactic, Mikey, because the Premier League was very predictable last round. So maybe we do need to be completely sensible. Although, to be honest, your favourite pick of mine last week was the 3-2 Bournemouth one. I thought that was brilliant. I would have loved that one to come in. But ho-hum, get involved in the comments, guys. Loads of predictions coming in last week. We love to hear your shouts. Give yourself a point if you get the correct outcome. Give yourself 3 points, like I had to do 3 times last week if you get the correct scoreline. And we give you a bonus point if your scoreline comes in and you've got 5 or more goals. Mikey, Brighton are top of the table, and Manchester United still kind of sneakily win games without playing very well. And they are playing at the Amex, and you are up first.
Yeah, what a start for Fabian Hurtzler, Ben. I don't think many people saw this coming. Brighton going to Everton and just completely tearing them to shreds. Obviously, they were helped by the red card for Ashley Young. But yeah, I like that front four of Matoma, João Pedro, Minte, and Welbeck. Kind of offers them a little bit of everything. And I think he's blended youth with experience quite well. And if he can keep Welbeck fit and scoring goals, he's a really good player at Premier League level. Manchester United, a winning start, but not particularly impressive. They really need to build momentum this time around. They won 1-0 against Wolves on the opening day of last season, and then never really kicked on from there. So they need to do that here, and I'm backing them to do it, Ben. Despite Brighton's strong start, I'm going Brighton 1, Manchester United 2.
It's difficult on these opening ones, Mikey, because you almost have to go... It's quite binary. Our team's good or bad to begin with, and then the nuance comes further on down, doesn't it? So I think I might have to go down the middle on this one and call this one a draw. I'll go for it to be a 1-1 on the basis that Brighton are going to be super confident. That's going to kind of take them, I think, a few weeks, like you say, with Hurtzler's amazing start. Manchester United always find a way, don't they? God knows how good they'll be when they actually start playing well. So I will go for a 1-1, Brighton 1, Man United 1. Palace versus West Ham, 0 points for both last week. Palace will be more disappointed, won't they? Because they went under at Brentford, whereas West Ham, lost to Villa and were in the game, but they just got Emery'd, didn't they? Emery board. This is a hard one to call, isn't it? Do Palace get off with a first win, or does Lopetegui get off with a first win? I can't go for back-to-back draws. I like Palace at home, Mikey. That worked well for me last year. Palace 1, West Ham 0. Horrible start for Lopetegui at West Ham. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm also going for a narrow Palace win here. I'm going for Crystal Palace 2, West Ham 1. Although I've heard this morning that Joachim Andersen is leaving for Fulham, and that's a huge blow for Palace because he's someone that gets his
He was there before,
head on
right?
everything. Yeah, he was. I think he spent a season there on loan, maybe during a COVID season. But Anderson, not only does he do the defensive stuff really well, he gets his head on things and gets blocks in, but he also starts a lot of attacks with his switches of play. I think he'll be a real miss for Palace if he does go. Overall, they were a little bit unlucky to lose that game against Brentford, and I think Eze has come back from the Euros with a point to prove. West Ham, they weren't at their best against Aston Villa, but did manage to get themselves back in the game. I think this is probably where Nicholas Füllkrug makes his first start, and I wouldn't back against him scoring, but as I said, I think that Palace will narrowly win this 1-2-1.
Fulham, Leicester. I've forgotten what Fulham did on opening day. What did Fulham do on opening day, Mikey?
Fulham lost at Manchester United.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah, it's a Friday night. Leicester, decent enough draw, wasn't it? But they could have been under by half time, couldn't they? Relying on the old master, Jamie Vardy. What do you reckon?
I quite liked Fulham against Manchester United, and as we just mentioned, they're signing Anderson from Palace, which is a really good move for them. They lost a couple of centre backs in this window, so yeah, things may be starting to look up for Fulham, although they probably do need another goal scorer. One note I have got here is Bernd Leno. I was watching on Friday. I was like, he's such a good goalkeeper in the Premier League, and such an important player for them. Leicester, they struggled against Spurs in the first half, but they'll take some heart from the fact that not only did they get the equaliser from fantastic Mr. Fox himself, they struggled in a game and managed to get reaction from the new manager and come out and were much improved in the second half and maybe even could have stolen it. I can't bring myself to go for a Leicester win. I don't want to go for the draw. I'm going to go for a narrow Fulham win. I'm going Fulham 2, Leicester 1.
You don't want to go for the draw, Mikey, but there's a reason I swerved that on Palace West Ham. I think Steve Cooper's going to eke out some points early on, some low margin points. I think we need a 0-0 in here, Mikey. So as much as I think it'll be difficult to shut Fulham out, I love to throw in a 0-0. I know no one wants to see them, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. Right, let's get this out of the way quickly. Manchester City versus Ipswich. Man City, the sun comes up, the sun comes down, Man City win, okay? And they won at Chelsea. Ipswich were pretty good against Liverpool, but, you know, I get the response of the people saying, well, okay, fine, whatever, you know, get some points at, you know, and turn it into 90 minutes. That's what Ipswich got to do. And, you know, it's just the hardest game you can have, isn't it? Man City away. I'm hoping we don't get 3-4-5 like Liverpool could have, and we didn't, and we can be positive about Ipswich. I'm hoping we can have a goal, but I've got to give Man City a 2-goal winning margin at least, Mikey, haven't I? So Man City 3, Ipswich 1. Maybe to take the lead. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Okay, this is a real turn. I've gone for Man City 4, Ipswich 1. So I'm going for a bigger margin of victory for City. I'm going to this game. I'm going to the Etihad as an away fan for the very first time. City looked strong against Chelsea, Ben. These players didn't get on the pitch. Rodri wasn't in the squad, but there was no Walker, no Stones, no Grealish. I imagine we might see Grealish, Stones or Walker, the English lads getting on the pitch from the start against Ipswich. As you said, it was a strong first half. Looks like we're signing Armando Broja on loan, which will give us a focal point through the middle. Obviously, Liam Delap will have a point to prove, but yeah, I think this points towards quite a comfortable Manchester City win.
Southampton versus Nottingham Forest. You're up first, Mikey.
Yeah, Southampton could probably count themselves unlucky not to have got at least a point from their trip to Newcastle. They were pretty good, but it's a difficult one to measure really because Newcastle were down to 10 men for most of the game. And while Southampton had the better of the chances, ultimately they didn't score and they did concede. So they can't take an enormous amount from it. Forest, on the other hand, Danilo, a bad injury for them against Bournemouth, but they couldn't hold out for what would have been a really important win at the start of the season for them. I'm actually going for the newly promoted team to win this one, Ben. I'm going for Southampton to get the goals that they didn't score at Newcastle here. I'm going Southampton 2, Nottingham Forest 1.
That's interesting. I didn't think you were going to go that way. I just wonder whether even a game that you've got circled as a winnable game is harder than you think in the Premier League. And Southampton will have this circled as a winnable game. No disrespect to Forest there. It's just, you know, you've got to circle some games. There's got to be some teams in the bottom 5 and in the bottom 6 you target to win. But I'm going to back Forest on this one. I think they'll have enough now. So I think Russ Martin tends to grow into seasons, and I don't see that being any different in the Premier League. But I'll go for both teams to score a Forest win, and I'll go Southampton 1, Forest 2. And we're going to move on to Spurs versus Everton. Everton were like the week 1 crisis club, weren't they? With the fans not happy and the the manager maybe getting a bit chippy with the fans. I think Tottenham are going to bounce back from playing well and not beating Leicester. So I'm going to go for a Tottenham win here. And it's Sean Dyche, so it won't be too high scoring. Straightforward, Tottenham 2, Everton 0.
Okay, yeah, I'm also going for the 2-goal margin. I'm going for Tottenham 3, Everton 1. They looked really good in the first half against Leicester. They played some really nice football. I'm not sure Dominic Solanke necessarily suits the games against really deep back fours. He didn't really get the chance to get in behind, but he did have one really good chance. He just hit it straight at the goalkeeper. But I think that front three of Maddison, Solanke, and Son will start to click and connect, especially at home. No Ashley Young for Everton. They've only won one of their last 23 Premier League games against Tottenham, so really bad record there, and they were pretty wretched on the opening day. So that's why I'm going for Tottenham 3, Everton 1.
Good luck with this one. Villa Arsenal.
Yeah, Villa, they look strong, don't they? I was saying I was a little bit worried about them without Douglas Luiz in midfield, but Tielemans, Onana and McGinn really clicked on the opening day at West Ham, and Jacob Ramsey and Duran came off the bench and made an instant impact. So, yeah, really positive opening day for Unai Emery and Aston Villa. Arsenal weren't perfect against Wolves, but they got the job done. And Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka are up and running for the season. That's really important for them, those two. Villa won this game last season. I was there. Billed was a really big game at the time, and I remember being a little bit underwhelmed by the atmosphere at Villa Park. It was almost like they were turning up expecting to beat Arsenal, which is what they did. I'm going to say that they're going to fall a little bit short this time of winning, but I'm backing them to get a point. I'm going for Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 1.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because I think the question with these ones is really how good are Arsenal? Do we treat them now like Man City side or a Klopp Liverpool side that just, basically beats 90% of teams? And I think they're getting into that bracket, aren't they? So as much as I love Aston Villa and I back them all the time, and I really want them to get back in the top 4 because I think it's good to have a bit of variety there. I'm going to back Arsenal to make the perfect start here, Mikey, and it's going to be a statement win for Arteta and Arsenal. I think I'm going to go for we'll do classic. We'll do a George Graham one then. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Aston Villa 0. Arsenal 1. Bournemouth versus Newcastle. Why do I have to be up first for this one? I have no clue what to say for this one. I don't know what to say about Newcastle because the red card kind of doesn't give us any proper information about them. We tend to like Bournemouth on this show, don't we? And we tend to maybe undervalue Bournemouth slightly. So with that being said, that I've got no information on Newcastle and I undervalue Bournemouth, I'm going to go for the Bournemouth win. And let's go both teams to score as well. Let's have a bit of fun with this one. Have I played for a bonus? Oh, no, Chelsea are coming up. Don't worry. I'll wait for my bonus point there. Let's go Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 1.
Okay, excellent. I'm flipping it round. I'm going Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 2. Newcastle went for the flying fullbacks of Livramento and Lewis Hall, which I really want to see from them this season. But obviously the red card for Fabian Schär meant that they had to drop in and play relatively defensively. I'm not sure who comes in at centre-back with Dan Burn, so maybe it is a good shout going for Bournemouth to win this game because they're a little bit light in that position. As I said, I think Newcastle are going to narrowly edge this one 2-1.
And you are up first with the joy that is Chelsea. It's Wolves versus Chelsea. Remind me what Wolves did on opening day again, Mikey?
So Wolves lost 2-0 at Arsenal, but they did make them sweat for the opening day win. Wolves have a really good recent run against Chelsea since Chelsea's sort of basket case era. They've done really well against them. They've only lost one of their last 8 Premier League games against Chelsea. Chelsea they've cast aside Raheem Sterling. They look fairly threatening against Manchester City without scoring, but it's difficult to really judge them just yet. Obviously, this is going to be a big game for Pedro Neto. I expect him to start in the left wing position. He'll be bang up for it. I'm going for Wolves 1, Chelsea 2, and I think you're going to go in a completely different direction with this.
I don't know. I was going to go for a Chelsea win. I just would like I'd like to win a bonus point at some point this season. So throw enough, what, at the wall, and some of it will stick. So I've got to try for one every week. And I just feel like Chelsea 1 week will click and go bang, 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 and score a load of goals. So I'll go for it to be this week. Should we go for 4-2, Mikey? I'm thinking I was thinking, shall I do a high scoring draw? But you can't get a bonus point for a Desmond, can you? And then a 3-2 Chelsea win doesn't feel fun enough. So I will go for Wolves 2, Chelsea 4, with, Mikey will produce lots of evidence and thinking, I just want a bonus point. So that's my entire rationale for the prediction. Now, you've got a very unfair advantage to me on this last one because you saw Liverpool last week at Portman Road. I think you're going to be impressed enough with them and enough with how decisive the manager was. He came across really well after that game, didn't he? And Brentford going away to Liverpool is going to be too hard for the Bees. So I think Liverpool are going to go back-to-back 2-0 wins. Liverpool 2, Brentford 0.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to add 1 goal onto that. I'm going Liverpool 3, Brentford 0. Yeah, it was a really impressive day for Arne Slot, wasn't it, at Portman Road, where he saw his side under the cosh at times, and then he made tweaks at half time and apparently gave them a bit of a rocket and got exactly what he wanted out of them in the second half. Liverpool probably should have scored more than 2 goals. Brentford, they're prepping for the post-Tony era, aren't they? And battling win against Crystal Palace, but not exactly exhilarating. And Burmo, always a threat. And if he can take his chances like he did that one against Palace, then maybe they don't need a replacement for Tony. Maybe he's already in the building.
There you go. That is our week 2, round 2, Premier League predictions. Get involved in the comments. I should have said at the top of the show, we are simulcasting this season. We're down the Blue Monday feed, and we're also down the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel feed as well. So get involved in the comments. You know the scores. I won't remind you again, and we will see you next week.